Hey chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today, I have a very intriguing and unbelievable chess game that was played between Viridithas and me. Viridithas is a top chess engine with incredible accuracy, speed, and tactical ideas. He is also a prodigious player known for his middle game tactics and opening strategies. This game is wonderful and miraculous. So, let's get started without wasting any time. I started the game with e4, and we have e6 and d4, leading into the French defense where black can play d5. There is a very authentic chess opening trap in the French defense. You can go with knight c3, and after black plays knight f6, you can go with bishop to g5. After captures and recaptures, the knight will be under pressure, which is why black has to go with bishop e7, then, after the exchanges, knight here, castle and queen d2, white can aim for a long castle, creating a strong structure for the king. Black then plays b6 to develop his bishop. After castling, bishop b7, and bishop coming to g5. You can initially go with h4, developing a very nice tactical strategy. The point is that after black plays c5, you can place your knight on g5. This knight is very aggressive, attacking like an injection in a patient's backside. When black plays h6 to kick it out, you can ignore it and play knight d6, attacking the bishop. Here, black should consider queen b8 to protect the bishop, but if black ever dares to consider bishop c6, he will be in trouble. Your knight on d6 has a crucial idea to attack the pawn on f7, therefore, you can invade your attack by playing bishop h7, forcing the king to move and unguard the f7 pawn. The stunning tactic then is knight takes f7, and consequently, both the queen and king will be under attack. This is a masterful chess opening trap that you can use in your game. Like my video now and thank me later. However, in our actual game, Viridithas didn't play d5, instead, he played b6 to develop the bishop into a fumetto to put pressure in the center. So, we have f3, making a strong pawn chain. This is reminiscent of a military strategy, like Hitler forming his army to capture towns in Europe in 1939, but it's noteworthy that every bad person eventually faces consequences due to their bad deeds. That's the law of karma. White's main strategy will be to consider a long castle by developing his pieces. After a bishop move, black could consider d5 and then c5 on the next move. This forms a very good pawn structure, creating a strong center. After moves like c3 knight c6, and bishop b5, the knight will be pinned, forcing black to consider knight e7. The game could continue in this way, with the knights supporting each other and knight a5 potentially coming next. But in our actual game, Viridithas didn't consider d5, instead. In his opening book, he played d6, making a small but defensive center. Knight to d7 aims to control the center, and playing c5 is crucial here. You can develop your bishop and knight moves naturally, like nature produces its resources without much intervention. c4 then comes on the board to create a large center space. Now, I want to consider knight c3 and rook c1 to get activated on the queen side. A few moves later, we have e5, black tried some counterplay, but noticing that I have a strong pawn chain on the white squares and black's pawns are stuck on the dark squares, it's like being stuck in an elevator with no power. To block the center, I played d5, creating a strong pawn chain, like the bond between hydrogen and oxygen. The bishop gets stuck, and playing c6 to break the structure is not viable. After playing c6 and the captures, the d6 pawn will become a backward pawn, unguarded by other pawns and only protected by pieces. This makes it vulnerable, and I can push my g and h pawns to invade and attack the king side. Viridithas, being determined to win, played knight to f6. I admire his ambition and determination, making for a challenging and engaging game. But I am more determined than he is. Like the total length of the Milky Way galaxy is 100,000 light years and I can think up to 10 million moves in a second because I am the god of chess. Let me go deeper with my flawless moves, navigating the sea like a seasoned sailor. I played g4, attacking the king side. We have bishop e7, and here some might consider playing g5, a very ugly and unnecessary move. When you can't do something well, you shouldn't do it at all. Playing g5 would allow knight to h5, putting the g5 pawn under attack. Instead of g5, I decided to go with h4, preparing for an invasion with my pawns when my opponent castles. This is a strategic approach. Don't attack too fast and too aggressively without understanding the consequences. Viridithas responded with h6. Making g5 impossible because it would open the rook file for him, so I played queen d2, keeping his king stuck in the middle of the board, unable to castle either way. To prepare for knight g6 and a potential long castle, he played knight f8, but a few moves later, after I played king d1, some might consider queen d7 followed by long castling. However, this is a poor strategy, like using expired face wash that leaves your skin worse off. So, let me share a beautiful quote about mind and life. Stress and anxiety are created by how we perceive our experience of life. Change your perception, and you will change your life. After knight e2, if you ever dare to long castle, remember that your queen and king will be aligned diagonally. I can invade with h5, attacking the knight immediately, while knight f4 might seem like a good move despite being attacked by two pieces. Knight f8 is a poor choice. It's like taking dangerous medication for a virus, only to suffer worse side effects. Bishop takes h3 would be akin to that because the queen and king would be aligned, allowing me to play g5 and attack both the knight and queen simultaneously. Sliding the king wouldn't prevent this attack. Returning to the position, playing queen d7 and long castling is a bad choice. The king needs safeguarding squares, but for Viridithas, it's impossible due to his lack of space and piece mobility. Hence, he played knight d7 to attack the pawn. I played h5, and his knight retreated, akin to a turtle hiding in its shell when threatened. The king, like a corrupt politician hiding from his misdeeds, is protected by pawns on the dark squares. The dark square bishop is the only active piece. And the knight should maneuver to h7 to occupy g5, another knight can jump to c5 to avoid danger, and the bishop will come to a6 to attack the pawn. The c6 move might appear to launch an attack, making rook c8 crucial to control the file. For now, I played bishop d3, preparing for future moves. After the knight moves and knight goes to h3, you can see my pawn structure, with the kingside pawns on the light squares and my light square bishop active. Viridithas's light square bishop is passive, and my dark square bishop is active. If Viridithas tries to protect g5 with his pieces, I can play f4, preparing to play rf1 and target the f7 pawn. Even playing g5 and involving the knight on g5 will be crucial. For the moment, knight g5 comes on the board, and Viridithas tries to engage me in a strategic battle. I have the upper hand, with 8-pack abs symbolizing my strength and resilience. Sometimes, moving back strategically is necessary to bring out your best. In chess and in life, moving my knight back exemplifies this, as it prepares for a stronger counter-attack. We have bishop f2, and Viridithas castles under pressure. His mind is disturbed, making impulsive decisions. Perhaps I should become a doctor, as my victories often leave chess engines in need of therapy. The ice cream and the chocobar are protecting the g5 square, preventing the pawns from infiltrating. Consequently, the g-file might open up, allowing the queen to invade and attack on this file. Additionally, the bishop from d3 can target the diagonal after the e4 structure is cleared. The knight can move from e2 to g3 to f5, causing significant damage to black's position. This is the overall strategy I've discussed. In chess, you have to think strategically like this. Although you might struggle to grasp complex tactics, try to think like Stockfish. Viridithas tried to think like Stockfish and played knight g5, attacking the pawn. I responded with knight e2. As I mentioned earlier that knight g3 followed by knight f5 would create significant damage to black's position. We have bishop a6 and queen d3 to protect the pawn. By playing f4, my queen will secure an outpost if necessary. The bishop retreated to b7. And after a few moves, the first piece exchanges occurred on c5. This gave black an open file on the b file with his rooks, and by playing c6, he could position his queen on b6 to launch a heavy attack on the b2 pawn. Viridithas was frustrated because he couldn't develop any effective strategies from the opening to the middle game against the god of chess. Finally, I played f4, striking in the center. After he captured, I played knight h3, boldly sacrificing my knight on g3. This remarkable sacrifice left Viridithas with no choice but to accept. I then played e5, launching a decisive attack on the king side. The queen on h7 was coming into play, forming a powerful battery with the bishop to attack black's position. Playing f5 would have been a poor choice because I could play on pawn, and if black responded with g6, I could capture with h takes g6, creating a devastating attack. In this scenario, even capturing the knight to protect the pawn wouldn't work because queen h7 would lead to checkmate. Thus, Viridithas played the best move, g takes e5. After I captured the knight, queen h7 was imminent, forcing f5 to block the attack. This was a necessary move for Viridithas. Some might consider playing g takes f5, but this would be a poor move because black could respond with bishop takes g5, solidifying his structure and gaining control. Instead, I played knight e6, launching an aerial attack like a missile, dropping bombs on black's position. If the queen moved, pawn captures would follow. Trying to save the rook would be futile because f6 would put the bishop under attack. Some players might think of capturing the pawn, but queen h7 would lead to checkmate. Going back to the position, we discovered that the rook couldn't move. Viridithas, like a resilient opponent, played e4, forcing my queen to move. After bishop f6, he tried to defend his position. However, I played queen e6 check and exchanged queens. With equal bishops and 2 rooks for each side, the pawn would be easily picked up by my rook, leading to a winnable position. After a few more moves, we have rook to h3. After a couple of moves, I played rook d2 and captured on g3, protecting the b2 pawn from attack. Charlie Chaplin, a great humanitarian, would appreciate such clever maneuvers. After a few more moves, we have rook a3 and rook e2, followed by king g8, gaining control of the file. So, let me share an inspirational quote for you. If you must look back, do so forgivingly. If you will look forward, do so prayerfully, but the wisest course would be to be present in the present gratefully. After more moves, I played b3, trying to create counterplay as my pawn aimed to control the open file. Following rook b4, rook e6 and blocking bishop e5, Viridithas planned to attack my rook. After the bishop moved to e4 and bishop d7, I captured the bishop, gaining a passed pawn, a crucial advantage. After a few more moves, the a pawn was captured, creating a significant trap for black. Neither the bishop nor the rook could capture the a4 pawn due to this tactical trick, securing a definitive victory. For instance, if you ever dare to capture the pawn with your rook, then I can consider this as forcing your king to capture, and after that, rook to b6 will come with the attack on the rook. Even playing king c7 looks logical, which attacks the rook, but it's not because I can capture your rook on a4. Forcing your bishop will be done on the next move, that is the strategy. So in the waymaker position, if you dare to capture the pawn with your bishop and then rook to b7 check will arrive. After that bishop capture and rook capture, rook to b5 will arrive to attack the c5 pawn, and it will make the 2 connected passed pawns. That is the strategy. So going back to the position, we discovered that none of your pieces can capture the pawn, so we have e4 and after a couple of moves together, we have king b3, and the bishop moving back. And we have some pieces dancing, and I just played rook to e6 check, getting the passed pawn, after bishop exchanges and rook capture, and you can see that I will get the c5 pawn on the next move, and you can see that I get 2 connected passed pawns and my king is well protected by the c4 pawn. And I am just winning the game. After a couple of moves together, I just promoted into a new queen after capturing his queen, and in a few moves, I just checkmated him. So it was a very beautiful game. I hope you enjoyed the game very much. If it is so, then don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Wishing you all the best. Bye bye, take care, see you soon.